Emerge Stronger series on the 22nd of April. And so we thought now, as the new norm has come upon us, right? How people are doing meetings this way. In fact, government for a while, a lot of government-funded training, they were very opposed to using online, way of conducting training. But now also all the government grants, training programs is also all turned online now. So they have accepted, just taking picture, and submitting, training materials, and you can also, claim for all the training related grants. So I think with that leading the way, this is definitely, I feel, a new norm. And myself personally also, I have been, going through most of my meetings via Zoom now. So I think with this thing being new, we also have to learn to adapt. And at the same time, we continue to try to create an opportunity for people who still need to do business, right? We still need to make new contacts, right? So at least for within our community, that's why we always, so we are experimenting ourselves, with a networking, a networking session after our, this sharing session. So for those of you who likes to, stay behind, get to know a few people, exchange a few contacts, no more name cards, so at least save money on printing on name cards, but we can still exchange phone number, go on our, send your digital card to one another. Yeah. Okay, so it's 2:05 now, so perhaps I'll start. And I think as you can see, we have about 60 of us here. I think we have more sign up, so I'm not surprised along the way. Many will continue to join us. So welcome all of you to our Brands for Good 7th Emerge Stronger series. And today we're going to present a case why we should do business for good. Okay, so this slide, as I mentioned earlier, for those of you who may have just joined, feel free to scan the QR code or copy or click the link below. We welcome you to join us in our group chat, and that's where we post our updates. Yeah. Okay. Oops. Okay. Okay. So Brands for Good is our sort of a flagship event that we organize our award and gala dinner once a year. So of course, in the wake of COVID, we have come online as well, and we're trying to hold our meetings online. These are the people who are with us in who together we made Brands for Good possible. I started Brands for Good in my journey representing IPOS Society. Right after I left IPOS, I started the society, and together with IIPCC, who is also a IP, intellectual property related non-profit organization. Together we, sort of organize this event, and Glenn from CEO Asia is our secretariat. So actually he does, as you can see, he did a lot of heavy lifting. So very appreciative for his contribution. And also thankful to Maybank and 01 for being our sponsor in 2020. And Ever, Best Aero, BBX, Evershare, Harry's Elias are the smaller sponsors. Right. Then last year we signed an MOU with ASEAN CSR Network to bring Brands for Good to an ASEAN level. All right. At the same time, we also partner with Carbon Care Asia, based out of Hong Kong, all right, to do an award called the Carbon Brands for Good Carbon Care Labor Award. All right. So this is how. Okay, so there are 5 things I'd like to share with you. All right. Before I pass the time over to the others. All right. First is, so this is a new slide. I think many of you may not have seen, right? So the Carbon Care Labor is we launch it to recognize the efforts of organization aiming to tackle climate change, all right, by reducing their carbon footprint in Singapore. So so for those of you who are interested, please approach myself or Boon Seong, who's in here as well. Okay. Okay, I jumped the gun. Maybank will be during their sharing, so I won't share much. But I thought more importantly is a follow-up, right? So I think there are a lot of government financing grant, right, that banks are administering. So you can contact them to find out more, all right? Then also for 01, our sponsor, 01 is one of the telco startup that has grown quite big now. All right. I personally, in fact, my whole family we subscribe to 01. All right, and I can vouch that some people may say 01 got problem here and there. I think that those were the early days, but today, I think 01 is perfect. All right, I've never had any problem with 01. Okay, and actually, I also late subscriber lah. I waited for my brother. You know, he subscribed when his whole family went on board, right? He told me, "Oh, 01, no problem already." Then I joined. So I've been on it, I think, for about almost 6 months already, 01. Then with ASEAN CSR, I like to talk about this Ariba membership, right? So Ariba is it stands for ASEAN Responsible and Inclusive Business Alliance. So Brands for Good and ASEAN CSR Network, we have a standing MOU to help to create this community, right? We want to build this community to of course champion our cause, right, for business for good, for social responsibility, inclusive business and all that. So we are open to receive as many who will love to join us. All right, so it's a membership based. Brands for Good is not membership based, right? Brands for Good is a nomination based, right? Whereas Ariba is membership based. So that's the fourth thing I like to share. Then the fifth thing I like to share is, of course, the lineup of our Emerge Stronger series. You can go to our website. From our website, you can see a listing of all our events. These are weekly free webinars, right? We are thankful to have many partners, experts in their own field, who will share with us from their own experience, from their own expertise. So next week we have Hendrik Holt from SEO Society to talk about social media. They do a lot of social media, a lot of search engine optimization, primarily for the Chinese market. So they will share with us some updates about China. All right. Then the following week we have a friend from this company is they do data called Dead Happy. All right. They are Johan is a data scientist. So they have done a lot of project combining social good with data, right? And help to track trends, identify behaviors. All right. So he shared with us why data analytics is particularly important in a time like ours now, right? Because we can, we in fact have to do a lot of heavy number crunching, data mining, behind the scenes. And then the after that, I think we're quite glad to have Lim Song Guan, who is the ex-president of our GIC, and he was before that head of civil service when I was in IE Singapore, and then when I was posted to Asian Development Bank, then he was also my boss, not very directly, but I know as far as my work in ADB is concerned, I have to report to him. So he was then with the Ministry of Finance and also the head of civil service. So now he has sort of retired and set up a non-profit organization called Honor Singapore. And I think it's also quite an interesting sharing from him, because he was sharing with us how our founding fathers actually achieved not only because all the strategy and all the hard numbers, right? But I think primarily also there is the soft side of it. So he was talking about how, Singapore, while we have achieved all the materialism, if we forget the soft side, right, the honor that is within the Singapore spirit, then it becomes very dangerous. So he's going to share, because he's among the founding pioneers, of Singapore. All right. So that's the next 3 series. We actually have our events lined up all the way to end of July. But I'll just highlight these 3 first. All right. And then from August onwards, we're going to rebrand our series, because we are thankful to have volunteers from ASEAN CSR Network, right, members of Ariba, who will come in also to help out in the organizing of this series. So we really want to turn this into everybody owns it, right? We're not here to say a few people organize this whole thing. We hope this whole thing, this whole Emerge Stronger platform, turns into a tribal leader concept, right? We are all in here organizing this, is organized by us for us, right? By the people for the people, the kind of a concept. Okay, so that's all I have to share. So maybe now I like to pass. I think we got quite a few speakers so no need to keep passing back to me. So we'll have Maybank to share their own journey with us as well, and then to have 01, all right, then followed by Glenn, then followed by Pamela, then Chng from Singapore. Is that all right? Okay, so that's all I have to share. So maybe now I'd like to pass. I think. Wait, I hear some echo. Okay, Elena, over to you.
Thank you, Alan. So hi, good afternoon to all. Okay, my name is Elena and I'm from Maybank. So the journey with Brands for Goods, for start, we have, since the start of this Brands for Goods, right? Maybank has been with them and this is our 3rd years together. So I'm actually the one that follow through all. So many of you have seen me actually. Okay, so basically, yeah, as I mentioned, together with Brands for Goods, we started kind of like this partnership and journey. And it's very much in line with Maybank missions of humanizing financial services. So together with Alan, okay, I also have a team of 4 team heads together with my business development managers that will work together with all the SMEs, tauges over here, as well as the winners to to assist you in your financing needs as well as your banking needs. Okay, so a little bit of koyo about Maybank itself. Huh? Okay. So Maybank Singapore, many of you will know Maybank Singapore, Maybank as a Malaysian bank, Malayan Banking Berhad. But in actual fact, in 2018 November itself, Maybank has already gotten localized into Singapore, so to say. So we are actually a local bank as of now. So we call ourselves the Maybank Singapore, and we are domestically one of the 7th important systematically bank in Singapore. Okay, for our group itself, group HQ is still KL, Malaysia. So we are one of the group's home market with the largest overseas operations. In Singapore itself, our assets of about Sing dollar 76.5 billion as of 31st of December 2019. And we have been in Singapore for the past 60 years. So this year itself, we are actually supposedly to be celebrating our 60th birthday. But well, due to the pandemic, so all this are currently put on hold. Yep, until a better time. Okay, so over in Maybank Singapore itself, we have about 2,000 Maybankers. So together with my about 35 business development managers, right, we are definitely here to assist you in the current pandemic and the current situations that we are facing. Okay, today actually many of the businesses are able to go back to work, but not full, as in not 100%. While we slowly get back a little bit of our normal life, okay, which is no longer that normal as per normal. Okay, the banks are definitely working on reliefs and packages to assist the business owners to get back to their operations. So a few of the relief or a few of the cash flows packages that we are having currently will be the common one, like the working capital itself. This one is a very common one whereby people in the markets will know about it. SMEs, okay, you know about it because this is the common working capital loans that was formerly 300,000, right? But this loan has already been increased up to 1 million. And currently it comes with deferment of principal for 1 year, as well as for this particular loan itself, right, the interest rate has also been revised substantially from the normal about 8% to current about 3%. Okay, so this is the working capital loans. All right, and then we also have the temporary bridging loans, which give financing up to 5 million. Okay, this is launched specifically due to the COVID-19. All right, and this one it's also under a deferment program whereby you can have so-called a payment holiday, in the sense that you only pay the interest for that 1 year. Okay, you can choose to opt in to just to pay the interest for that 1 year. And again, for these 2 working capital or for these 2 cash flow financing that the banks are granting, right, it doesn't come with any collateral requirement. Okay, then of course, if you are a trader, as in you are doing import and export, and then you do have loans financing scheme, whereby, the trade financing scheme, all right? Then the EFS trade loans as well as the loans insurance schemes will be very much appropriate for you. And this too has also been given relief as well as subsidies, whereby the premium as well as the amount that you can actually go for has already increased substantially. So if you are also an existing Maybank customers, in terms of the commercial property loans, you realize that we also offer you relief in terms of your monthly repayment. So for all existing commercial property loans owners that your loans is with Maybank, you realize that you can actually opt for principal and interest deferment, meaning to say that you can defer a full holiday all the way until the end of the year. You don't have to pay for anything. So during this period, while you sort out your business volumes and your business needs, right? You don't have to worry about your financing of your mortgage loans with Maybank. Okay, Maybank is the only bank that we are doing principal and interest, in our local bank, that we are doing principal and interest deferment for commercial property loan. Okay, so for all this requirement, the requirement is very basic. Basically, you just have to be a business. You have to be a business or set up in Singapore with 30% local shareholding. Your business cannot be a newly set up business. It has already a current business that's running. Then from there, we'll be able to assess whether how much is the funding or how much is the relief that we can actually assist you with. So with that, these are just very basic informations about the relief and the packages that currently we can help you with. If you do need to find more, later at the breakout rooms, I have my team heads around, so you can actually find out from them more information on that. So with that, I'll pass it to Evelyn, the other sponsor for Brands for Goods. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? Okay, great. Yeah, 01. Yeah, maybe it's good to show of hands, through the screen that I'm seeing now. Does everybody know about 01?
You can't see your screen.
Huh?
You can't see your screen.
I can see all of you, Mana.
Oh, yeah, but you never turn on screen share.
Haven't. I'm just asking. If I turn on screen share, I cannot see everybody.
I see.
So show of hands, does
That's
anybody do not know 01? Maybe. Everybody knows 01. Great, great. Okay, I think 01, we have been on board Brands for Good. This is our second year. I think we are excited about the team, what they are doing, and then with this Emerge Stronger webinars, I think we have a lot to learn, a lot to share with all the SMEs. So I do welcome all of you to share with your peers, your Tauke friends, or anyone wanting to start a business to join us in this webinars. Okay, let me share a little bit about 01. Okay. All right. 01. For those who have been with us at this webinar, I think you have seen some of these slides for a few times, but nonetheless, I think for those who just joined us, just a little bit about who 01 is. 01, we are actually a virtual telco, or the technical term MVNO, meaning that we don't own the network, but we partner with the mobile operator to do marketing. We have our own packages, but we lease the network from them. And if you're curious who our partner is, we are partnering with Singtel. Singtel, yes. Singtel, I mean, statistically, is the best network in Singapore in terms of coverage, right? So we are with Singtel. A lot of you would know 01 with our signature unlimited data plan. We were the first one that started unlimited data plan 2 years back at the price point of $19. That very much shook the market, because during that unlimited data plan was like going at $80 over dollars, $100 over dollars. So we came in with unlimited data plan at $19. That was 2 years ago. And after that, we again rocked the market again with a unlimited data plan at $9.90. So I always tell my partners, my friends, you know, my vendors, like, or the consumer, you have to thank 01 because we literally brought the ARPU down to, you know, sky high. Now that you're enjoying all this very affordable plans, I think it has got something to do with 01. All right. So one of our top most selling unlimited data plan is the $9.90 plan. That means you enjoy $9.90 every month for unlimited data plan. So basically now we have streamlined our plans. We only have 2 plans, so it's very easy for you to choose. One would be the 1 GB to unlimited data. The other one would be 30U. 30U basically means you have 30 GB of data at the premium speed. Thereafter, unlimited data at usable speed. 1 GB data means you will have first 1 GB of your data at the premium speed. Thereafter, it will be at usable speed, unlimited. All right. So very easy. So whether you are a light user or a heavy user, you just need to choose between the 2 plans. And from now you sign up, we are even giving you additional bonus. All new sign up will enjoy 3 GB bonus booster. So if you're on a 1 GB plan, you effectively you get 1 GB plus 3 GB. So you got 4 GB of data with unlimited data speed, unlimited speed.
Elena, perhaps you could just go to the slide for the plans. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. We are seeing the cover slide at the moment. Thank you.
This one you can go to our website. It's there.
Okay,
so
sure.
we have two plans. Okay, very simple. If whether you're a light user or heavy user.
All right.
Okay, but we all provide unlimited data.
Sure.
Okay. Some of the use cases, how companies or individuals are using our unlimited data. For example, we are all on Zoom now. So a lot of our customers or even my colleague, they are tethering their mobile data to the laptop so that you can do huge meetings like that in Zoom. Okay, so whatever you're seeing here is actually using our 1 GB unlimited data plan, unlimited data plan. So you can do Zoom. I think we have customers in our logistics as well. You know, logistics, you need a lot of collaboration when you're on the road, when you're in office, and you need to track all your logistic workers, your drivers and all that. You can make use of our unlimited data plan to do that as well.
Evening, your slide is not running.
What are you seeing now?
The first page, first slide.
You're still seeing the first slide?
Yeah, that's what I was mentioning. Yeah. But if perhaps you could click on the perhaps you could click on the
just touch the slide that you want to show lah.
Yeah. To zoom in on that.
Can you see?
Yes.
Nice.
Okay.
No, I think I just leave it here like that. Okay, yeah, it's just the 2 plans I was showing. Okay, this is all in our website, so you can go to our website to see. And we're giving additional 3 GB for all new sign up, so it's free upsize now. Okay, I was sharing that how our customer or our colleague make use of our unlimited data plan for Zoom meeting, and how logistic company can also use our unlimited data plan. Even medical, we have customer, you know, taking photographs using their mobile device, upload to their server, back to their office, and then they can do consultation and review of the medical cases. We also have a lot of security company. Imagine all you need to give your security is a 1 GB 1 GB unlimited data plan to do their work. So you don't have to pay for all those $30, $40 plan. That will help your company save a lot. Of course, in retail, you know, you're talking about going digital in retail F&B, and you can make use of our plan as well. And most of all, a lot of you working from home right now. Okay, if your boss are not giving you, are not paying for your mobile plan, yeah, maybe, you know, 01 could be a very affordable plan for you to do work at home, or even for bosses, if you are thinking of paying for your employee data plan, you can also consider 01 because that will also help you save a lot of money. You know, you can give all your employee a unlimited data plan at only $9.90 per month, okay? So basically, with our unlimited data plan, you can actually say goodbye to all your Wi-Fi, you enjoy endless connectivity, and there's no excess data charges. So you don't have to worry about having to pay for extra data charge when you burst your data usage. Okay, so how can we help? I guess with government, you know, wanting all of us to, all SMEs, you know, the retailers, the hawkers and everyone, or even the seniors to go digital. So I think with our affordable plan, you know, we can help a lot of individuals as well as the company to go digital. Right, okay, if you see my early site, I use the hashtag, you know, use it to believe. So I'm sharing with you some of my customers.
1 minute, with a lot of time.
Okay, all right, can you see with our unlimited data plan, customers are using 296 GB. And for this guy, the bill come up to 400 over GB of data. So that's how usable our unlimited data plan is. Okay, so for all of you, if you're interested to try out, we're giving a free trial for all corporate customers right now. It's 30 days free trial. So if you're interested, just email to this email and get in touch with us. All right, and if any one of you want to contact me, that's my contact. All right, with that, I'll pass the mic back to Glenn.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. You might want to stop. Okay, so thanks everyone for coming today, and I think I have sort of the privilege to present, right, a little bit. And I'm mindful of the time, but I also wanted to quickly do a shout out and to all our overseas guests today, because there are quite a number, and I'm very happy because we've been working very closely with Ariba and the ASEAN Responsible Inclusive Business Alliance that Ellen was sharing earlier on. And we've got from Surabaya, both Alan and Johnson. We have also Ronaldo, Omi from Philippines, Victoria from Eski, Nalan, Joy Santos from Eski as well, Harry Sayas from NEC, Cecilia as well from a social enterprise, right? So we've got many overseas guests today, and I also wanted to remind everyone that we also have an open networking at the end of this session today, and some breakout sessions. And if you really want to sort of meet some new friends and reconnect, it's a good chance for you to also do that. So and of course and Mushida from Malaysia is also here today. We've got quite a number of people. So if you guys can later on turn on your video screen, we'll also try to do a photo shoot towards the end of the presentation. So without further ado, let me sort of share my screen so that I can run, and I know we're short of time. Okay, so can everyone see my screen? Anyone?
Yes, can see. Yep.
Okay, so the title for today's topic was the business case for doing good, but actually I sort of changed it midway through preparing my presentation, and it's actually the war on COVID, and then the tagline is the business case for doing good. So Ellen already has basically described what Brands for Good is, and Brands for Good is a non-profit organization. We've been championing the cause to sort of inspire every business to become a purposeful brand. And for those of you who are already a purposeful brand, I do encourage you to nominate yourself for Brands for Good. You can always visit our website and find out more a little bit online. I put up this slide because Prof. Su was sort of our chief judge for Brands for Good. In our first year when we ran Brands for Good, he sort of whispered in Alan's ear, and of course the story he told me later on was he was sharing with Alan, you guys are doing something really amazing here. If you really are successful, you have an opportunity to sort of change the world. And we were sort of, I personally was very inspired when Prof. Su said that to me, and hence I'm also very energized in our belief about what we're trying to do with Brands for Good. Maybe I'll dive straight into the topic today. Can I get everyone to sort of turn off their mics? Thank you. Right. So I'll just dive straight into the topic today about two parts. I'll be covering why should businesses be different, and of course the second, the job to be done. Right. Firstly, there is a war. If you haven't read, if you haven't been following McKinsey, it's fine. I've been following it, and you can always, when I share this, you can get the links and the documents are all available. But there was a document recently on the war on COVID, right? And I like this particular article because it talks about when a war happens, what is the result of the war, and what are the things to look out for during a war, right? And it puts analogies with the old past wars that we've been through, right? The previous wars. But 7 points that they brought up. One, they expect a war to go on much longer than we anticipate. Wars are like that. You don't have short wars. It doesn't happen. Two, governments become a much bigger actor when a war happens. And in wartime, of course, government spending comes. And we see that now, right? So those are things that's already happening there. Spending billions of dollars in trying to prop up the economy and to make sure that we all don't fail. There's going to be a lot of mobilization of resources from the labor markets. And in wartime, there will always be winners and losers. People transform. I mean, examples of manufacturing companies building tanks, right? And in the same way, we've got cleaning companies now stepping up to fight this war. And there will be major winners and there will be major losers in a war. 6, which is I think something that it's all over the news, right? War can end and is likely to end in a recession. And in this case, they're talking about depression, not even a recession. 7, which I thought was actually particularly poignant, was that in a war, it will bring about institutional change, right? And in that way, in that sense, when wars happen, there is a better social contract between people, society, and businesses and the government. I mean, things like unionization happens, worker benefits, increase in female participation in workforce. This will happen. This is what happens in previous war. In this time round, we expect to see better income security, better access to technology, and a rising tide of productivity and hopefully economic prosperity. It will take a while, but we believe that will happen, right? So the other thing about wars is that COVID at the same time is also accelerating trends. And there are a lot of many trends, and you hear that all the time, right? And I think there's another McKinsey report about 5 trends that's happening in China. And China is a good way to look at it because in China, they sort of settled the COVID, or there is a second wave, but they sort of settled and there's been some sensing of what's going on there. And you can get a sense of what's happening there is sort of going to have what's happening to the rest of the world as well. The first trend, of course, is digitization. All of us are going online now. Teaching is going online. Zoom calls are happening. Everything is digital. Second, there is a decline in global exposure because we all start recognizing it's a risk. Supply chains are moving very fast and very quickly, right? They're moving to different angles. There's rising competitions, and it's going to be intense, right? Technology, agility is going to drive winners. Trend 4, which was what I was sort of diving into, was one of the interesting trends that's happening in China is that consumers are coming of age. And this is quite interesting. This is China we're talking about. We're not talking about any other Western world or societies that's already mature, right? This is coming from China. Consumers in China are recognizing that they're going to spend less money, but they would spend more time and money purchasing safe and eco-friendly products. And they are conscious about it. And that's what I'm actually quite excited about, to see such trends coming out from the situation with COVID, right? People are becoming a lot more conscientious about how they are spending their money and how businesses who are they doing business with. Last but not least, the 5th trend will be private and social sectors will step up, right? And this is something that I think is we're going to see a lot more in the months and the year ahead. So with all these trends, what's going to happen? One of the biggest problems is going to be a division of those that have and those that do not have, right? The haves and have-nots. And it's already happening in America. And you see the situation with George Floyd now in America, with all these burnings and happening. It's not only just about George Floyd, right? We also know underlining all that, there is also a lot of problems at the ground. And there's a great sense of hopelessness. The economic situation is not good. A lot of them are jobless. And those that do not have are angry. And when they are angry, what do? They rise up, right? And that's also because they don't have the economic prosperity for them. And it doesn't happen in America, right? And it happens in everywhere, even in Singapore, right? We're seeing declining social media. This is an article in 2017. We were already seeing declining social mobility. And in Asia, of course, that happens as well. In 2018, PM Loon said the same thing as well. Singapore politics will turn vicious if our society fractures, and we cannot afford it as well, right? So we need to constantly be on the guard about protecting society and protecting its people. So one thing we all can recognize, right? This war will change the world. And I take a tagline from B-Lab here: governments and businesses must offer hope and real solutions. And here, I hope that we as business owners and business leaders have a chance to craft this narrative for change. So the good news is, of course, there is still demand, right? Even in a low-touch environment, in a low-touch economy, the demand is still there. There are still needs, all right? I mean, as an example, restaurants and bars may change, but people still need to socialize. Tourism may be struggling, but people still need to relax. They still need to escape. They need to be inspired. Certain places, demands may not recover so well. Fashion may take a hit, right? Because there's no desire. I only need to wear a top now for my Zoom. I don't really go out. Automotive, people may not spend more on cars as readily, or expensive items now, because so certain things will change and the demand will change. This is actually coming from Board of Innovation, Low Touch Economy. It's a good read, and I encourage everyone to read. But opportunities are there, and I sort of want to tell everybody, don't waste a good war. I mean, like it or not, it's here, right? We have many things that are going on, and there are opportunities and there are white spaces. You will notice there will be industry shifts, and if you can see something, and there is an industry shift in your industry, move with it, right? New regulations will come in. Predict what kind of regulations will happen. Move with it. Consumer behaviors will change as well. Move with it. Society will change. Move with it. There will be new resources, digital being one of that. Start looking at it. Look at new technology as well. So these are white spaces. These are opportunities for many businesses to start shifting. And I do encourage everyone to sort of be ahead of it. I mean, that's our team, right? Trying to emerge stronger. So of course, the second good news, which I think is you should write on a trend. And there are some trends that you should write on. One of them is doing good, right? This is an old Nielsen report, but it's as with the China report, the trends have always already been there. People were always very conscientious about buying their buying behavior. They buy from socially responsible companies. They prefer to work for socially responsible companies. I picked this report was because there was a footnote there that was very meaningful for me. In this report, that year in 2014, the report said that 55% were willing to pay more for products and services from companies, from socially and environmentally conscious businesses. But in that footnote, it said that in Asia Pacific, the number was 64%. It was 9% higher than the global average. And this is higher than the Americas. This was higher than European. So the mere buying behavior of businesses and consumers are not simply a European concept, right? It is actually, I believe, an ASEAN concept, an Asian concept, right? Because we are all ASEAN by heritage. We also have sort of that belief in doing good while working as well, and that translates to actually our behavior and our patterns, and that can be shown by the Nielsen report in 2014. So obviously, there's the scuttlebutts of information. 56% of Singaporeans believe in a responsibility to prevent environmental change. 1 in 2 Singaporeans are willing to spend more on ethical products. A quarter of Singaporeans have boycotted a brand because of bad behavior. 88% of Singaporeans think that businesses have a responsibility to do good. And I know I'm only sharing Singapore's statistics here, but I am very, very sure that it applies the same in all our ASEAN countries. It's just a matter of time, right? So here's a point where I like everyone to stop and think a little bit. What will your business look like after the war? And I bring up another McKinsey report, and that would be to try and take a stand on purpose. Now, I know many of us are struggling, right? And even in this report, it says, do CEOs have time to consider corporate purpose? The answer is probably a quiet no. No one's going to outrightly tell you no, right? Because look, my house is burning. I have to save my house first. But my question is, if you manage to save your house, what will it look like after that, right? And I think a reminder now is to start looking at your purpose, because I believe your employees are looking, your customers are looking, your suppliers are looking, your communities are watching, right? And I believe that they will have very long memories and they will remember what you did now, right? So take this chance. So I go into myself, my second chapter on the job to be done. How do you start defining your purpose and what you need to do? I think the first thing to do is always to redefine your purpose. And there are many articles online to do that. Forbes has it, Harvard Business Review does it. And then this, of course, our winners. There are so many of them. And they have, when they create brands that have purpose, they get stories that matters, right? And they create a brand that matters. I mean, these are all some of the taglines that some of our champions had, and Bettr Barista is there, Ostropo is there. They have sexy taglines. I mean, I know it's taglines, but it does help send a message across to the consumers and to the businesses of what you are trying to do. And it matters, because when we do that, we are a collective that tries to make a difference. And at this point, this was an image that I had to go and dig out from a friend. This is an old advertisement that was embedded in me 20 years ago. I was a young advertising man, right? And then this was one of those images that stood out in my mind and had been with me for very long. It was for the 4As, for IAS, sorry. It was a credit goes to Shooting Gallery. I mean, if you don't know Sebastian is also in one, a good friend. They were actually promoting advertising, and they were telling people to advertise, and this is the war scene of people dying, and then there's this man holding up a Rolex watch in the middle of a death scene, right? And it's just saying basically to advertise to survive, right? If not, you're gonna just die. But I mean, I don't suppose that's really all the same true now. It's not about advertising. It's also about being visible, right? And that's what branding is about, being visible and being visible for the right reason. So branding is raising your awareness is what is important. It is only important because it increases your book value. And there are a lot of little evidence of it. I think we are sort of fortunate. The scuttlebutt on my side is that we're working with NUS, and NUS has sort of hinted to us that they have a study in place that's going to come out that will prove that branding, doing good, does increase your brand value. And they are going to provide that kind of evidence soon. And I'm quite excited if that report comes out, and I'm hoping to be a part of that that messaging as well. Right, but increasing your brand value is also not something that's intangible. It can also be translated into tangible assets. If you look at S&P 500 market value, in 1975, 17% of a business value was made out of intangible assets, right? While in 2015, that means 40 years later, the business value, 100% of the business value, was 87% of it was based on intangible assets. Only 13% was based on tangible assets. So it's not really about physical assets anymore already. It's about value, right? Coke is worth so much money, not because of its supply chains and its manufacturing arms and its ability, but because of its brand, right? And that intangible value is what I'm trying to encourage everyone to build. And of course, do it with a purpose. So my last two slides, and I'm trying to keep my timing to within my 20 minutes as allocated, is how do we start? I know many of us have always this question of where do I begin? What do I do? How do I do good? My suggestion is to get help, and sort of there are many out there. There are many kinds of associations and services, and here in Singapore, we've got a whole host of it, right? We've got B Labs. Actually, B Labs is not only just in Singapore; it's a global organization. Pamela is from it's a B Corp certified business, so she can sort of share a little bit more about it later. There's RAISE, the Association for Social Enterprises here in Singapore. There's Ariba. This is what we are managing and we are supporting as well. And then there's NVPC. NVPC recently has renamed its website to City of Good, right? So it's a wonderful thing that they're doing, and I believe there are some NVPC guests with us today as well. I hope they do turn up today, and then we get a chance to meet with them as well. And then of course there's UN Global Compact, which is also in Singapore and also around the region, right? So there are many options and support and help that you can turn to, right? I mean, obviously I'm biased, I would say Ariba, but it doesn't matter. You can really work with any organizations to get your sensing and get where your purpose is. And this is where I think you have an opportunity. So I sort of have last two more slides, and I want to sort of encourage everyone that say that, look, if you are really keen on looking at your brand and your business and to build your brand as a force for good, there are a lot of steps to do. First, of course, is to learn, right? To get your ideas from people, and hopefully we can pick up what we can learn from Pamela today and from Ostropo. You may have to define and redefine your business to see where there's your positive externalities can be. Network. I mean, working with other good businesses helps, right? You have the same ideas, the same energy, the same directions. Go to market with it, right? Start somewhere. Make an announcement about it. Join interest groups. Work, get training bursaries. Work with technology partners. These are actually all the things that you can do to also help in case in the event that you yourself are sort of not ready. You can also participate in areas. So so that's it. That's sort of my 20-minute spill on why businesses should do good. I hope that sort of helps the narrative a little bit. Thank you all for that time. I'm going now to pass it on to Pamela, right? And get her to share a little bit about Bettr Barista. Now, before she starts, and Pamela, maybe you want to just get ready already. and before she starts, Pamela and Chng are both Brands for Good winners. They've been with us. Chng actually from Ostropo has been participating in Brands for Good 2 years in a row. The first year they came in as a Patent for Good, right? And the second year, they became a Champion for Good. For which category was it, Chng?
Can't remember.
Patent.
Okay, even patent. Okay, and I know Pamela is also another champion for good. And we've had, I mean, not many, unfortunately, right? In the first year we've had 2 champions, and second year we had 9 champions. And okay, let me say this because I'm part of the secretariat and I got a chance to sort of preview the things. It's not easy to be a champion. Okay, to be an honorary for Brands for Good is not difficult. Okay, so I encourage everybody, go you here. To be an honorary for Brands for Good is not difficult, right? You just have to have a few check boxes to tick off. You probably can meet the criteria of being a Brands for Good. But to be a champion, right, needed, and I think in 2018 was a 90% percentile that they were looking at. In 2018, it was 85% percentile. So that means you had to be the scorecard, and it's scorecard based. It's not say that Ostropo was in competition with everybody else in the cohort. Ostropo was judged entirely based on what their own merits is. Bettr Barista was judged entirely based on their own merits, based on the scorecard system, right? And they had to hit 85 percentile mark on the scorecard for them to have been a champion. And we had sort of the privilege to learn about them and be with them. And I hope today that we get a chance to know a bit more about Pamela and Chng or in their businesses as well. So okay, over to you, Pamela.
Okay, thanks, Glenn. Thanks everybody. I think yes, good job, Glenn. You made it 20 minutes on the dot. So I will hope to try and do the same. But I think thanks, Glenn, for kind of setting that stage. I think a lot of what he's talked about is going to be kind of directly related to kind of the work that we do, all right? And maybe it will give you kind of a practical idea of how the things that Glenn talks about is executable in reality. So let me just quickly share my PowerPoint just to make sure that, okay. Okay. So, no, that's not the right screen. I'm sorry. Let me change that again. Okay, so can everybody see my screen? Yeah,
Yes,
I'm going to change it to presentation mode. So just, yep.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so I'm happy to take questions at the end. I think that we have opportunity for that. So I'm very quickly just going to kind of introduce what we do as a social business, right, and how we kind of live those values on a day-to-day basis. So the Bettr Group, you know, we were set up in 2011, and our kind of social purpose was to use coffee as our vehicle to impact and change lives, right? Just a brief background, this is not my first business. This is actually my second business, my second career. I started my first business when I was 26 in technology, web consultancy. And I did, you know, 8-9 years of that. And through that journey, I realized the power of business, right, as a tool to actually be able to influence many sectors of society, both from a worker level to kind of business and society and economic levels. So when I took some time out after that first business, right, and I decided that I was going to start another one, the idea of the social business, I think, was very critical to the genesis of Bettr. So I did not start the business because of coffee. I started it because I wanted to bring to life the idea of a social business that could practically, in reality, sustainably exist, right? And be true to its purpose, to be able to be financially sustainable, but also socially impactful, right? And coffee just happened to be the industry that I think I selected at that point in time that was relevant and was able to help us bring a lot of these values and impact to life. So 2011 we started, right? And we actually kind of do our work through two main brands. So Bettr Barista is our professional coffee academy, and Bettr Coffee Company is our retail and experiences brand, where we have a coffee roastery, mobile events, and retail coffee bars. So I'll talk very quickly through these kind of 4 business units. And the whole idea is that every aspect of our business was going to be used as a force for good, right? So for professional coffee education, we basically identified that there was a lack of professional development in the specialty coffee sector back in 2010. And we decided that education is always a great way, right, to influence and impact people's lives. So we decided to focus on providing professional coffee education that is locally recognized, so it's WSQ Skills Future, as well as internationally recognized, right? And then I'll talk a little bit more through those. And then we have a mobile experiences arm, coffee roastery, and retail coffee bars. So like I was saying, we offer international certification through the Specialty Coffee Association. So this is a global, the largest global certification body in the world, right? And this basically allowed us to lift the standards, right, of the industry from a career perspective. We wanted to make coffee desirable, right, and a professional career, right? And one way to do that was to ensure that there was education, that there was professional development, there was professional certification, right? So that's kind of the first thing that we started with. And we also use this to do a lot of corporate workshops. Then the second component is our ISO certified coffee roastery. So this is food manufacturing. So we actually roast coffees for large convenience chains, for offices, for cafes, retails. And the whole idea is from a sustainable perspective. So I will talk a little bit now about the value chain of that. And through the roastery, we also develop compostable capsules, single drip cold brew. So basically any way to kind of bring the coffee experience to people, right, in workplaces and at homes. The third component is our mobile coffee arm, where we basically bring the specialty coffee experience to conference, events, seminars, and weddings. So this team has been very free the past couple of months, and we expect that they'll be very free for the rest of the year, right? Because the events sector is very hard hit. So if anybody's in events, you have our deepest empathies, right, and sympathies, because it's a tough time for you, and we actually need to reinvent. This was actually a major one of our arms of business. We focus on very large scale kind of events. And then the newest part of the organization are our retail coffee bars, right? So right now our focus is actually on workplace communities, right? And we actually run takeaway retail bars in places like the Temasek staff, the cafe for Temasek, for Facebook, GovTech, UN Sang, Ministry, MSF, DBS at Plaza Sing, Kutik Prat. So all of these are kind of employment destinations for the beneficiaries that we work with, which I will talk about a little bit later, right? And these 4 revenue units basically generate income for us to fund all our various social initiatives, right? And the main social initiative that we started with in 2011 is something called the Bettr Holistic Program, right? And this is kind of like a study and work training program where we provide not just work-ready skills for people to start a career in the coffee industry. We also do emotional training and physical training. Actually, the core of the work is emotional training, right? Because it's very easy to teach somebody how to make coffee. It's very easy to teach somebody to do any technical skill, but to get them to get a job, stay in the job, succeed in the job, is a lot of it is actually the emotional resilience and emotional work to succeed, right? And that's the core of the work that we do. So this program is primarily targeted at working with marginalized women, youth at risk, and those with mental health challenges. So when we talk about marginalized women, they are all from low-income families, single mothers, older divorced women from abusive homes, incarcerated partners, all sorts of challenges, right? And we've worked with people as young as actually 15 all the way through to 58. So we've been doing this for the past 8 years. And this is not something that we do alone, right? We have a large ecosystem of partners that help us to make this work happen. So we work with the specialty coffee and F&B industry to provide internship and work placement opportunities, and also with social service organizations. So every single person that comes through the program is referred by a social service organization. So we work very closely with social workers. And what we do is that they will help to focus on their family and kind of personal challenges. We will deal with the individual and their work challenges. So together we actually kind of create a much larger support and safety network to enable just one person, right, to kind of lift themselves out of whatever challenging situations they find themselves in. So over kind of the past 8 years, we've run 26 intakes of this program. It's generally very small because the work is very deep and very intense. The purpose of the work is really to transform for deep and long-lasting impact. So we're not interested about what happens 8 days later or even 8 months later. We're talking about 6, 7, 8 years later. Has this person's life truly been improved, right, by some of the work that we do, right? So we've had about 124 students come through the program, of which about 300 over dependents are impacted by their progress. We've put through hundreds and thousands of hours. So of this group, 80% complete their training, 60% complete their training and work component. And of this group, 83% find employment within 3 months, right? And on average, each person kind of has an average increase of 170% increase in income. And this group collectively, I think 80 to 90% of them were earning zero income before they started with us. And today they contribute 2.5 million to the economy, right, through the work and the salaries that they do. So this is, I think, one major important thing that we look at is kind of, they start in coffee, but they don't necessarily need to stay in coffee, right? The young people, a lot of them go back to school. Some of them do part-time school. They work in F&B to support themselves, right? The whole idea is that as long as they stay on the productive, contributive path, we have succeeded in our work, right? Okay, so that's the main social program that you know, we have a whole team that just deals with this program. But I also want to talk a little bit about the value chain. So we're at, you know, as a consuming country, city-state in Singapore, we obviously are at the end of the value chain, right? Dealing with consumers and the barista work and all that. But coffee is, you know, a large industry, right? It impacts millions and millions of lives around the world, right? So there's an opportunity all along the value chain to create impact. And that's kind of what we've been trying to do over the years. So obviously one major thing, right, is where we source our coffee from. How do we positively impact those communities at origin, right? So as far as possible, we ensure that we purchase fair and direct from farmers in various origin countries. So these are just some examples. In Nicaragua, we work with another social enterprise that works with the coffee community there. In Myanmar, we work with another social enterprise that also kind of collectively works to improve the lives, right, and the quality of the farming communities there. In Colombia, we work with Caravella, which is a fellow B Corp, who also does the same thing, right? So by being able to work with businesses that are aligned with our purpose and our values, we also enable them to do their work better, and it enables us to kind of create the impact that we also want to create. So everything that we do is really structured to benefit the community, whichever community we have a part to play in. I think also kind of overall, when we talk about a social business, if we talk about businesses for good, it's really more than just, oh, you know, I give money to one program, or, you know, I volunteer time, right? It's really deeply embedded into every single decision you make as a business, right? So down to, for example, environmental impact, right? It's challenging in Singapore to do that because we have a lot of unsustainable practices in business in general, right? We don't even have proper recycling infrastructure in place. So for us right now, we are actually now we're now to 30% clean energy, right? So our production and HQ facilities are running on 30% solar, and we target to be 100% clean energy. Well, we're supposed to be by this year, but COVID has kind of you know, threw a spanner in the works. So maybe we will extend that by a year or two. But we have committed that we would be net zero by 2030, which is quite a big undertaking. So we've been very fortunate over the past kind of 8 years to be recognized for the work that we do. In 2012, we were the first Singapore grantee of the Arthur Guinness Fund out of Ireland. 2013, we were the President's Challenge Social Enterprise Start of the Year. 2015, first Singapore grantee from the DBS Foundation. And first certified B Corp in Singapore back in 2015 as well. And then following the 4 years after that, we were placed top 10% globally for B Corps that have a community impact. And then 2017, lucky to be Social Enterprise of the Year. And then in 2019, right, joining the Brands for Good community, recognizing both the business model and as well as the diversity and inclusion. So I think, you know, like I said, we've been very fortunate to be recognized for some of the work that we do, and it's kind of opened us up to, you know, be able to do more business, more work, collaborative impact work with organizations and people that also believe in the same thing, right? And I think the key thing is that we continue to want to do more. So just very quickly, just talking about some upcoming impact work and the context of this in a COVID environment, right? So we expect that in the next couple of years, we're going to see, as Glenn says, a growing divide, growing inequality being experienced. And there are going to be people who are losing jobs, right? Jobs will disappear, companies will close down, right? So we're going to be seeing a lot more of the marginalized community. That population will actually grow, and we need to do something about it. We're also looking at mental emotional health, right? And we're also looking at impacting the region. So very quickly, I think the problem that we seek to kind of address kind of 8-9 years ago was this unproductive workforce, kind of the bottom 12% of our population, right? So if you look at that, that's almost 500,000 people in Singapore who are operating under the poverty threshold, right? That's a lot of people. So this is the group that we've been working with the past couple of years. And I think with COVID, we're going to see an acceleration, right, of the unskilled and low-skilled workforce, which is kind of the bottom 20%. And there are over 800,000 people in Singapore who earn less than $1,124 per month. Okay, so these are your low-skilled ad hoc work, gig work individuals. And many of these are going to, if not lose jobs, many of them will join the ranks, right? So we are developing or adapting our current training program to cater to this group. Again, to ensure that they are given some skill sets, right? To kind of be able to get more sustainable employment and work, right? So I'm not going to talk too much about this. And then the second thing that we are going to address, we've just recently started a new nonprofit called Better Lives. And this nonprofit is dedicated to creating better mental and emotional health solutions for individuals, organizations, and marginalized communities. So this is the work that we've been doing with our beneficiaries from day one. And I think in this day and age, we are going to see that if we haven't already seen, we are on we finished circuit breaker, right? So day 55 was yesterday, right? And you have seen that a lot of the mental and emotional health of our people has been affected globally, right? And if we don't put in place some structured solutions to help people deal with it themselves, we are going to be looking at a much longer and larger war ahead, right? Because if people can't function, society cannot function. So this is the next thing that we are focusing on. And then the third thing is we're launching a social franchise model of our business and moving into the region, Indonesia, Philippines, Myanmar, because these are what we call they are coffee growing communities. So we believe that there is work that we have done that can be adapted and impact the lives of those women and young people in these communities as well. So again, the regionalization work will kick off at some point when we're able to travel again, right? So the team is looking forward to that. So just very quickly, kind of just talking about the impact of COVID, right? As I'm sure with many of you here in the room, our revenues took kind of a 50 to 80% hit, right? And we found that we had to gradually kind of close things, right, over the past 3.5 months. So, I guess the key job is to keep costs low, right? Ensure that there's cash flow, right? And very quickly start creating pivot projects, right? So that we are relevant for the new normal. Operationally, I think the key thing was to keep our staff safe and healthy, physically, but also emotionally, right? So we committed that we were not going to let anybody go. Our goal was to save jobs. Everybody needed to keep their jobs. So if that meant that we had to reconfigure everything to ensure that people could still have an income and a job, that is what we were going to do, right? And in terms of our community, I think kind of ensuring that we don't forget to keep our stakeholders kind of together, right? And ensuring that even our beneficiaries through the program are taken care of, right? So the holistic training program continues to run. So we completely revamped how the program is run so that we can do it virtually. not the same, right? But at least that work continues to happen because actually it's more important now than ever. So I think Glenn said, just kind of my last slide here to talk a little bit about why it's important to be purpose-driven, right? And I think, and kind of whether it has benefited us in any way. Because, we're a lot of Singaporeans, right? They're like, oh, so you want to be social business, purpose-driven. What is the benefit? And always the benefit comes in dollars and cents. So I can tell you that, no, you may not necessarily see direct financial benefit from existing this way, right? But I think from a larger picture perspective, I think if we didn't operate from pure purpose-driven perspective, we probably maybe not be here today, number one. And two, we certainly would be in a worse position to ride out the current COVID situation. So in terms of when we talk about being a purpose-driven, it's always looking at our ecosystem, right? How do we add value to that stakeholder? How do we add value to the ecosystem? And how do we create win-win-win opportunities for everyone so that there's collective and collaborative impact? So that thought process it happens down to a minute level, right? So that the decisions you make and that the team makes, right, is always impact and purpose first. Don't get me wrong, financial sustainability is obviously important because if we cannot fund ourselves, we cannot exist, then there's nothing else to do, right? But it also doesn't mean that we need to maximize profit at the expense and the destruction of our stakeholders in the ecosystem, whether it's our customers or staff or the environment, right? So I think some kind of, just to round off kind of the benefits, right? I think for customers, do we get customers just because we're a social business? Yes. Do we get customers in spite of us being a social business? Yes, because maybe now not so bad, but certainly when we started, there was an association that a social business was producing inferior quality products and services, right? And I think the job was to show people that no, actually we produce just as good, if not better than everybody else in the market. So there are at least 50% of our customers who did not know that we're a social business. But after they find out that the impact work that we do, they've become champions and fans, right? Because if you are able to show your customers that you walk the talk and you're truly creating impact, right? That creates a brand loyalty that no amount of money can buy. And that's what I mean by the benefits, right? You can't count them in actual hard dollars and cents, right? But brand loyalty is intangible, as Glenn says, it's intangible value, right? In terms of staff, I think we also have been very lucky. We get people knocking on our doors all the time because they resonate with the purpose and the mission of the organization and the values that we stand for. So for us, we never ever hire for skill set, right? We always only hire for values alignment. So if people don't understand what we do and they don't believe the reason for our existence, they actually don't even proceed, even though they may be the most technically qualified person in the room, right? Because we make decisions every day that don't necessarily make 100% commercial sense, right? But they further our purpose and our impact mission. So as Glenn says, right, the millennials and the younger generation, they definitely are looking for meaningful, purposeful work, right? And they have to feel that if they're going to slog hard, they're going to work hard for an organization, it has to mean more. And this is practical on the ground, what's happening. And with partners as well. I mean, we've had the opportunity to work with many big brands in all kinds of relationships. And definitely, I think the purpose opens the door, right, to have those conversations. And those doors remain open as long as we can show that we are being authentic and genuine in our mission, right? Suppliers as well. I mean, for example, Meiji has been a great supplier from day one, and they support us in many other ways that they don't support anybody else, right? DBS, all these different organizations, Brands for Good, all of you, right? I think we find that there's so much value just opening those conversations and keeping them going. Yeah, so kind of that's my 20 minutes, I think, I hope. Yes, 21 minutes, yes. And I'll take questions later. We'll have Chng share his story as well. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Pamela. So, Chng, you ready to share?
Yep.
Thanks. Okay, good. Can see your screen.
Okay.
If you want to enlarge it, you do the presentation mode. Yeah.
Is it?
At the bottom, you see on the right side. That's right. That's the one. Correct.
Yep. Okay.
That's it.
Good afternoon. I'm Chng. I manage Osteopore International. This is a HQ in Singapore, technology developed in Singapore, but we're public listed on the Australian Stock Exchange. So our mission is to help the body, because we believe the body has a regenerative capability to heal its own tissue. And all this damage could be due to accident or disease or surgical procedure. So we believe that if the body can heal itself, it will help to minimize or eliminate late complication, meaning late infection, late fracture. And our business literally lends itself to doing good, because only when we do good, then of course, more customer will come to us. And to elaborate what our business is about, I'll give you a few examples. So this is a first story we have. It is about this patient who was found in a found in a hospital in Hanoi, and he was there all broken. I think he had an accident on a motorbike, and then nobody know who he is. So they took his photo and put it on Facebook, and eventually someone sort of know him and then contacted his sister. So from them, the family brought him from Hanoi to Bangkok. I think he was there for a while, and then back to Australia. And because he was, he was having this broken skull, and I think and also his leg was amputated. So he had all this treatment done in Australia, and then there was an implant in his head because of the skull that was broken. But what happened was, after a few months, the implant got infected. So it was a life-threatening infection. And so the surgeon approached us to build a skull scaffold so that we can regrow his bone. And having his own bone grown, the chances of him getting an infection subsequently will be very slim. So this was featured actually yesterday in the Australian Channel 7 news. So this is what happened. On the left, you will see the skull with our scaffold. And then you can see the picture on the left, whereby the patient had a broken skull. You can see on the CT scan, and then over time, if it's 8 months, it grew back with bone tissue into the structure itself. Okay, so this is largely our technology, all invented in Singapore. This is another case. Now, this case was done 2 years ago in late 2017. This patient had a shin bone that was so infected that his only option was an amputation or try out a new technology to regrow back the bone. He had wanted to become a commercial pilot, but because of this, he couldn't do it. But for his son, he decided that he will go through it so that he can he can grow up. He can watch his son grow up and be part of his life. So he chose our technology. You can see the surgeon on the left. The person in the center is the Minister of Health of Queensland. He came to see the patient because this is a very intriguing technology. So the surgeon on the left is holding the bone that was implanted, or the bone scaffold that was implanted in the patient. So 2 years later, you want to know if it works. So this is the patient 2 years later walking. Because of his long-term, I think about 8 months in a cast, his ankle a bit frozen, but now he can start walking. So what happened is that he'll be undergoing more physiotherapy to help loosen up his ankle, so you have a better walking posture. So again, this was done in Princess Alexandra Hospital in Brisbane, and featured in the news at the end of 2019. So this is a situation whereby, is it working? Yeah, so what happened is that you have over time, the bone is growing in the patient. So you have like 3 weeks, okay, the bone is growing. And then on the 4th month, he has to start learning to walk, put weight on him. And then on the 6th month, you can see that bone has grown through the top and the bottom. And he went back to work on the 10th month. So this is how a patient with using our technology will be able to grow their bone. Besides all these orthopedic implant, we also do facial reconstruction. Besides the skull, the long bone. The patient on the left has a deviated septum. That means the nose is tilted, and most likely one of the nostril is not breathing properly. So with our technology, this has been corrected so that now both of the nostril are able to breathe, help the patient breathe properly. Now, on the right side, these 6 pictures, what is important to note is at where the yellow arrow is, this is where an implant that helps this patient, have a higher nose bridge, is coming out of the skin. Okay, this is a situation that is reported in medical journals. It does happen. So this could, if it's not treated, it could lead to infection, and that would not be good. So they came to us using our technology again. They can remove her implant and let ours grow inside, and to maintain the structure that she has wanted. So a lot of times, because our technology is new, and a lot of surgeons would want to put it through the most rigorous test they can find. And so usually we get all the revision surgery case. And so far, we have proven that our technology works very well. So what is this technology? We have translated tissue engineering and regenerative medicine in concept into something clinical. So what we need was cells and growth factors and the scaffold material, which in osteopore, we print them using 3D printer to create a scaffold that can house the bone marrow cells as well as the growth factors to help with the regeneration. To date, since the company founding in 2003 November, we have 30,000 plus implants already around the world. And 90+% of the cases that we do are outside of Singapore, largely because Singapore has a small population, but there are a lot of patients all around the world that need this type of treatment. So we have the approval to sell in the US, Europe, a lot of Asia, and most recently we had an approval in Australia, as well as only of last week, we got the approval in Indonesia. So our sales are mainly outside of Singapore. So then with this COVID-19, what do we do? Yes, we are still an essential service. Many people are fighting the war against COVID, but for us, we are people in the background because there are still patients that cannot just wait. Their infection or fracture all can be quite life-threatening. So we continue to provide support to all these hospitals. So what is key focus for us is strong communication. We have to communicate with surgeons because sometimes or many times there are new surgeons. They want to know more about our technology, how it works, how do you implant it in patients. So we would connect them up with surgeons who have experience. We use web-based technology for them to communicate, for them to showcase the surgical techniques, and before they start doing the surgery. We also need to continue to motivate our sales reps, our distributors, because they still continue to engage the customer. In some countries, they are lockdown, opening up much earlier. So cases continue to be conducted. And we also need to work with our consultants who is helping us open up market and getting our product approved and getting market access, as well as partners. Because this technology can help many patients and the technology is very unique, and the partners that we have are still innovative surgeons who want to deploy our technology in a wider scope. So we continue to work with them. We cannot stop. And as we are talking, we are still delivering some of the latest development to the customer or to our partners overseas. So for us, our objective is that, and our responsibility is to do the best for all the surgeons and patients to achieve the best possible outcome. This is the good we do. As long as we continue to achieve the best possible outcome for the patient, more and more of the surgeon would refer us, and more of the patient will also refer us, and we can reach out to more and more patients. As you can see earlier on, when I told you that I have 90+% of our cases are overseas, I could have easily told you that 90% of my revenues are from overseas. But we count by patient because each patient counts, right? And in the Q1 of 2020, as reported to the Australian Stock Exchange, we have achieved 60% growth over the previous quarter. Most companies are having a difficult time, but as I said, believing that we are doing good and we are continuing to help, even though we are not in the front line fighting with COVID, but we are still at the back end supporting all these patient needs that still needs to be treated. So we are very happy and very honored to be in this situation. And this is a story of Osteopore. That's it.
Okay.
Thank you, Khun Sing.
Thank you, Khun Sing.
Maybe let me share a thought. Actually, when I was in IPOS, the Intellectual Property Office of Singapore, I was also quite inspired by an initiative driven by the USPTO. How they recognize their inventors who have made the world a better place. And today's time and age, we have a lot of technological breakthrough, right? A lot of new tools, but it takes a good heart, right? It takes the right intention, it takes the right purpose to make use of all this, technological breakthrough to turn it into human advancement for humanity, right? Because you can also use a lot of all this technology, right, for selfish gain, that is harmful to the other people. So that's what Brands for Good really wants to do, right? Because I think we all have got given creativity. when we are looking at problems, social problems or environmental problems, I think there are solutions, but it takes people with the right attitude, with the right, as I said, the right purpose, right? And sometimes it may take more than one person, because I think nowadays also problems are getting very complex, right? It takes more than one to put our heads together to create a solution that has got a positive externality. It achieve good, not just for good itself, but for the greater good, for the society and all. So and that's what our community is all about. That's why we bring everybody together, right? And now you know why also Osteopore won our patent for good. It's a very deep tech. When I was in IPO, someone once asked, what is deep tech? Our Singapore government, the focus is to go after deep tech, right? The deeper, the better. So the definition of deep tech simply means if you don't understand, then that's deep tech. So okay. Yes, Glenn.
I also want to keep the timing because it's already 3:30. I'm quite mindful. We're supposed to have some quick Q&A sessions as well. Does anyone have any questions to sort of raise? You can sort of unmute yourself. We picked this format so that actually there's some chance for us to ask a direct question. If you're not, you can also post it on the chat group. Anyone has a question for Osteopore or Pamela? Don't be shy. So maybe I can. Does anyone want to start? Ella, you want to start? Ask a question to Pamela. Arrow you first, then at least someone.
Okay, sure. Maybe I ask a very down-to-earth question to Pamela, because I think, especially in the Singapore context, everybody is a very down-to-earth, very money-driven, right? So when you do what you are doing, you talk about value alignment, very admirable. But how do you then ensure that your value-aligned staff is able to perform their task?
A lot of training and investment in human capital. So put it this way, I talked about our retail bars, right? So we've got 8 locations now, and 100% of the ground staff running those bars are graduates from the social program, right? And they are now responsible for 7 figures of revenue for the organization in just less than 3 years, right? So I think it is, testament that there is investment in human capital. You have to invest in training. You have to invest in giving them the skill set. And, you necessarily may not see that come back immediately, right? But a sustainability perspective, a long-term perspective, once you're able to impart those skills and those values for somebody to function inclusively in a workplace, you cannot take that away, right? And they can only add value to wherever they are. So I would say that, yes, there is a lot of investment in training for people that I think it is challenging, when we all have to deal with bread and butter issues, right? But I would like to encourage all business owners to think of that as an investment for the future. It is not a cost, right? Investing in your people, because with no people, you have no business. So if you don't invest in your people, you're not investing in your business. And that's fundamentally it, right? And building the culture and loyalty, right? Retention costs, losing people, turnover costs money. There's a lot of data on that, right? So a retention strategy on keeping people in the organization, having structured processes for those things is also investment and will come back to you in returns in other ways. So it's kind of rechanging how we think about the people in our organization, right? Not just as functional units to derive productivity and economic return tomorrow, right?
Yeah, Pamela, Khun Seng here. Very impressed with the work you do.
You guys.
No, just by coffee and you can reach out such a wide group of people. That's very impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah, and the training that you provided, and I can see how structured your slides are and how your do your learning and training. Just through your presentation, I think you guys are really great.
Thank you so much.
I think I'll find a way to come learn from you guys how you conduct the training.
You can come, and then I will need to learn deep tech from you.
Oh, hi, Pamela.
Hi, who am I talking to?
Yeah, I'm Chng here.
Hi.
I remember that I did, see you at your booth 2012 at the Raffles Place Square there. You have a booth there dishing out free coffee at one time.
Wow, so long ago.
Yeah.
So free coffee helps some people remember you.
For the coffee, because the coffee was free.
Ah.
Yeah, those people who got the money will go for Starbucks. They will say, what kind of coffee is there? It's going to be a coffee shop coffee. But I queued because it was free then.
Sure.
But the thing I ask you is that over these 7 years in the company, right, are you able to attract really good people and not asking for high salary to work for you? I'm not asking, let's say, somebody like join Ma Yun for $500, but have you certainly have some experience to attract really talented people and of course very in line with what you do, and then take the company to next level as of now, your level that you're doing now? Maybe at what time, how would you be able to attract, maybe you can share a bit with us?
Yeah, good question. Yes, I think we have been able to attract individuals who I think place value beyond the monthly salary, right? Not as the top priority. And that's important, right? And so therefore we've been able to access talent that maybe outside they can definitely get paid more, guarantee one, right? I think we don't pay poorly, we pay kind of market, but if you're definitely not going to get a banker's salary working with us, right? So it's about paying people fairly, right? So, and I think we all know that, kind of just again with research and data, that when people get paid a certain level, that they are able to cover their basic needs, right? And they don't have to worry about their life anymore, then kind of self-actualization, right? Maslow's hierarchy, right? They seek more purpose and meaning beyond just the monthly paycheck, right? To be able to get the most out of them. So I think I think we've been very fortunate to get talent that, have been willing to maybe get paid less than if they were to go to, some other organization out there. But I think for us also, the key thing now is how do we also attract even more high level talent, and be able to reward everybody more, right? So that goes into the financial sustainability of the organization as well. But yes, as a matter of fact, we have been able to attract talent without having to pay maximum lah, because the benefits of being with us is multifold. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. I think again we are 10 minutes overrun, so I think any other questions that you may have, maybe you'll post it. Pamela and Khun Seng will still be around for breakout room sessions later. Before we go, I would like to sort of take a chance to take a group photo. I know it's the new world we'll be living in now. So at this point, can I get everyone to sort of turn on your cameras? And this is a group photo, so I don't have a photographer trying to tell you where to stand or that. But the least I can do is to tell you to try and frame yourself within the window. And if you get a chance to sort of right-click your picture to rename yourself, to put your name there, that will actually be a little nice touch to make the image nice. Furious is in the background, who's going to try and do a screenshot. I will also do a screenshot, so you see my fingers. I'll try and avoid that. So if everyone can sort of turn on your screen, we will do it 4 times, so that because there are 4 pages to do a screenshot. Again, body framing, shoulders in, head, leave a little bit of space to your photo, adjust your camera for a good shot. Okay, and then we are good to go. So first shot, smile. Okay. Second shot, smile. Third shot, smile. And then, okay, I only need 3 shots. Furious, are you there? Are you good? You see there? Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, taken shots already. Okay, so now, oh, hi Thomas.
Hold on, just hang on. I need to. I call you back. Sorry. Sorry, so I have to take another call.
Oh, hi Thomas.
Hey,
Wow.
hi. What can I do for you, sir?
No, just thought I say hi because your picture suddenly came on and we saw your handsome face.
Okay.
Thomas is another B-Lab recipient as well as another champion and best for the world. Yep. And he also can share with you a little bit about the many ways of doing good here. Okay, so I won't hold back anyone. We can go into our breakout sessions, and if you can help meet some new friends, do some connectivity. We try to encourage LinkedIn here. If you have your LinkedIn profile ready, if you can't quickly go online, you can multitask here to find your LinkedIn profile to sort of post it on the LinkedIn. The other way to sort of keep in touch is to join our WhatsApp chat group. Again, we've been posting it onto the Zoom chat. The link is there. I just last posted. I heard someone has mentioned that the link previously posted was not working. So I've tested the one now. It's working now. And then we can go into our breakout room session as well. So meet some new friends, create some new connections, and then again, reminder to Pamela and Chng, if you can do rotate among the rooms so that you can sort of meet the different folks. Okay, so Firas, over to you.